Take two. Action. Welcome to El Mandolero. This is our Star Wars, the Mandalorian podcast. I'm Bert.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jesse.
And today we're talking chapter 11. That's funny. Episode 3. This chapter was entitled The Heiress, and it was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. Writer, Jon Favreau. Any comments on, Bryce Dallas Howard direction before we start?
I thought that it was directed well. I thought that the direction was great.
Yeah.
She directed an episode of the first season too. I think she directed the episode with the walker.
Oh.
Right? In the village with the walker. Is that right?
I think that's
her
correct.
episode.
Yeah,
and that was also a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Last Samurai episode. It was a little on the nose for Last Samurai for me, but again, it's a timeless story.
Yeah. That was a Gina Carano episode, huh?
Mm-hmm. It was.
Mm-hmm. It's probably subtle undertones that we didn't pick up on the first time, but if you go back and watch it.
Want to see her character now. Yeah. Pick up on some of that alt-right undertones. Yeah.
All right. So let's go to scores. Alex.
I gave it 2 thumbs up, which means 10 out of 10 in this case.
All right. Jesse?
I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Yeah. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, just so that I have some room to
You piece
to grow.
of crap. How dare you? Alex has been waiting for a Clone Wars tie-in, and you just got to crap all over it, you monster.
I just want to make sure that if there happens to be an episode that's better than this later in the season, that I can give it a 10 and acknowledge that it was the best episode.
Right. That's why the 2 thumb system is perfect. 'Cause it's got a little bit
just
of
vague
gray
enough.
area. Yeah.
No, the thumbs were bigger this time. I mean, those were smaller thumbs.
It's true. No, you're right.
Predictions. So Alex actually has the correct prediction already. Your cameo appearance
on the board
prediction was Bo Katan. So congrats to Alex. You win. You win Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should have a cool sound effect, and I don't want it to just be Jesse going pew 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 pew. But that was,
I'll put some like blaster sound effects or something
pew,
in
pew,
there.
Pew. We got,
or maybe I'll try to figure out the motion tracking and see if I can like put a hat on your head that follows you around throughout the episode.
That seems excessive, but I mean, as I said when I quote unquote predicted this, it's not really much of a prediction. With Moff Gideon having the Darksaber, it was, I think, assured that, although a lot of fans thought that, I think a lot of the fandom feels that Clone Wars is like hated by Disney, so they thought that they would like off screen kill Bo Katan, and like this, it would just Moff would just have the sword and there would be no reference. It would be like, it's too bad Bo's dead.
Yeah, but
I mean, I thought that it was going to be a more reasonable, another really cool female. I think that it was a good opportunity for Disney to cast her voice actor, which is surprising and cool because she looks exactly correct. So
well, that's her actual voice actor?
It is, and she looks perfect. So I mean, kudos to Disney, kudos to Favreau. Like, I think that they knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, it's good to see
Has
Starbuck in something good.
Work? Like, does she do on-screen stuff too?
Yeah, she's Starbuck.
But another show I didn't watch. Jeez.
Battlestar Galactica.
Don't say that on this. Don't say that on this science fiction podcast.
I didn't watch Babylon 5 either. You want to fight about it?
Okay, I guess we're gonna have to watch. We're gonna have to have a new podcast series where Jesse watches Battlestar Galactica.
I'm not gonna watch
5.
it at the same time and live reacts to both of them. I mean, just to save time, you watch them both at the same time and just
it'll be a watch along.
Yep.
I have my own kink, man. Like, I just watched all 12 seasons of Murder, She Wrote. So
there you go.
And it's not the first time I've watched all 12 seasons. So.
I mean, it's a good show. Angela Lansbury is a national treasure.
It's a great show.
I can almost guarantee that there is an internet community out there that believes that, Murder, She Wrote and Battlestar Galactica are somehow a crossover.
I mean, unfortunately, because of spoilers, how it ends, that actually could be true.
Yeah. She does cross over with Magnum PI. So, I mean, you could, in the 3rd season, she crosses over with Magnum PI. So, I mean, maybe there's room for other ones.
Yeah. Battlestar Galactica. She-Ra.
How does it end? You can ruin it for me right now, and for everybody on. I mean, listening to this.
I'm not gonna. I think it's a really bad form to do on a podcast. But let's just say, in the end, it leaves it up to some interpretation, and one of those could be that it's the beginning of Angela Lansbury's career.
Yeah. The first murder that she wrote. That's
Yeah.
that's how it ends.
Well, now I'm gonna have to watch it.
Now you're gonna have to watch 30 hours to get there.
We got to talk about other stuff because this show's too good.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't everything awesome? Yeah, it was awesome.
It's a great show.
Let's go to episode chat. Who wants to go first?
It's your turn to go first.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Episode chat. So my first chat is just, it was great to see Starbuck, Katie Sackhoff. That's a very dangerous last name.
She had a
Bo
fun
Katan.
time in elementary school. I'm sure she did. No problems at all.
No, not a single one. I don't know if you guys watched, there was a science fiction-ish show on, I think it was on Netflix that she was in. And my wife was very excited that, she was in something again. And we watched the first couple episodes and it was really bad. It got canceled. So I'm glad to see that she's doing well as Bo Katan.
What was the name of this show again?
I don't remember what it was called.
Google Katie Sackhoff. I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah. The first thing I wanted to talk about was You're a Child of the Watch scene. So let's see.
You do not cover your face. You are not Mandalorian. He's one of them.
Dank farrik.
One of what?
I am Bo Katan of Clan Kryze. I was born on Mandalore and fought in the Purge. I am the last of my line. And you are a child of the Watch.
Okay. So he is a child of the Watch and does not know it. Well, I thought initially that it was a little bit odd that he wouldn't know it. But, my new theory is that, there is during the Mandalorian Purge, there is a remnant of the Death Watch that escapes Concordia, the moon of Mandalore that they're on or whatever, and tries to keep their, martial way alive, and that they're doing this by kidnapping children, or I guess saving children, orphans, and indoctrinating them in the Mandalorian Death Watch cultish sort of way. And that is why he doesn't know that he's, a member or he's been raised by Death Watch, and also why he doesn't know anything about the Jedi. For whatever reason, they would, omit any mention of the Jedi, I guess, from their teachings, perhaps. I'm not sure, because other people seem to know who Jedi are in this world. It just seems to be like really him and the other Mandalorians who he's around, which suggests to me that they were never taught about them for some reason.
I still think he interacts with enough people that, it's kind of like getting a spoiler around the water cooler at work. Like, there's just too many people who are going to be like, did you hear about Luke Skywalker? Empire's done. Yeah. Because now I thought this was 10 years after, but I was reading it. This is only 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Or it said that somewhere. So if it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, I feel like people are talking about this stuff. It's big news.
Yeah, it's like not knowing about Michael Jackson 5 years after Thriller. That's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. I was confused by the scene because I wasn't 100% sure that she meant Death Watch. And if there's two watches, like a Crimson Watch and a Death Watch, then that's just annoying. Like if they're like, oh, that's a radical cult, that's a subsidiary of Death Watch. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I thought it was weird.
Death Watch and Double Death Watch.
Why do they call it Death? What do they call a Death Watch? I mean, I didn't watch. I mean, I haven't watched the Clone Wars. So
well, honestly, it was a terrorist cell that wanted to go back to sort of the more traditional ways, and to me, one of the more traditional ways would be never removing your armor. So, I mean, that's why that scene, it was strange to me. But I think what they're trying to telegraph is that like there are fundamentalists even amongst the people that want to return to a more martial lifestyle. I think there's fundamentalists that, like, again, would never take off their armor, which is kind of ridiculous. It's not about who's the strongest, who can fight and kill. It's about dogmatic following for no reason. So I think that's what they're trying to show in the scene, is that it was like a dogma thing as opposed to an actual spiritual belief.
And is Bo Katan a Death Watch member?
Yes, she is. She's one of the more important members.
Her and her buddies all wear blue. Is that a thing? The Death Watch people all wear blue? Because now I'm looking at pictures of Death Watch Mandalorians, and they're all like, it's all blue and black.
Yeah,
and
they have
the ones that saved him in the first season were wearing blue.
Right, and the crests are, I think, the signifiers, and Death Watch has a crest, but his crest is not a watch crest. Also, they didn't have crests. Remember, like they forged their own ones again because I think all the family lines are broken after the purge. So I think there's definitely some science fiction room here, and we can fill it in with our imagination. Like, and fill in like how we got between Death Watch and to these radicals.
She's aged well.
That's it.
This Bo Katan character, like. I watched a little bit of the Clone Wars clips just to see who the character was after I saw the episode, and I was like, it looks like she's supposed to be. It looks like she's like the same age, during the Clone Wars and then now.
Yeah, that's definitely a failure. She's supposed to be like 20 years older, but I don't know why they did that. She looks like the same age as Din, and there's no way that that's possible.
Maybe Kryze don't crack.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fair enough.
And we have an episode title.
Yeah. Kryze don't crack.
Yep.
Yes. Done. Score another win for the rundown.
Rundown. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of heist sequence, which I thought was fantastic. Except for, okay, so I'm just going to play a little bit of the clip here just so you guys can.
Close the doors. Sir, close the doors. Which one? All of them. All of them.
Okay. So they have this heist sequence, sort of they take over this ship and they're killing a lot of stormtroopers. But I mean, it's all very tense in the beginning until, for me at least, there's a scene where they need to get into an elevator or something like that, and they're sort of pinned down, and Djarin, he grabs 2 grenades and he just runs at these stormtroopers who are just unloading at him, and obviously he has the beskar armor on and their blaster fire is just bouncing off of him, at which point I realized this is not like the stakes are not as high as I thought they were. It's like a bunch of kids shooting at you with Nerf guns and you're like trying to throw grenades at them. It's not, it made it less cool. It made it sort of like the stakes were far lower for him or for any of them really, because it doesn't seem like there was any chance that any shot that these guys fired could really do them any harm. So I thought that was a little bit over the top, but maybe that's just me.
They could hit between the beskar.
But they never do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just supposed to be cool. So you see him and you're like, whoa, man, he took a couple of shots. Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about as well, which is like beskar might be too strong. Is there some kind of limit? And I think that the real problem is that they had like a repeating blaster. And so he's getting hit with like hundreds and hundreds of shots. And that, I think it was supposed to look cool, like you said, Jesse.
And
but I think it gave the impression that there is no amount of fire that will hurt him, which I also don't think is correct. Like you said, Jesse, I think if one of them just bounces the wrong way, like he's dead, and that's sort of the impression that I have on how it works. But also, yeah, I mean, it was definitely cool, but at the same time, it did feel like it was a bit too much.
Yeah.
This is how deep we have to grasp. You really got to reach down in the crevices to find things that are wrong with this.
Yeah. I mean,
too many shots blasted and bounced off him. This show's stupid. I give it a 10 out of 10.
You know what else was I thought about, like made me think about the beskar armor was the crate dragon. When he gets sort of swallowed by the crate dragon, like, he was covered in crate dragon goo, I assume like spit, or but maybe the spit is different from the acid, because yeah, it's not going to go through your armor, but you have a cloth at other places. Like it could seep in, and it didn't. So my explanation was like, oh, the glands that secrete the acid are different than whatever it uses to, digest its food. So he was fine.
Yeah, because you can't throw up your stomach acid.
Right.
No one can be like on command, like.
Right.
I think it clearly had glands in its mouth.
Obviously.
Dummy.
I think that's very true.
Obviously. Why don't you read a book, Bert?
Specifically,
Basic crate dragon biology.
yeah, specifically the extended universe Star Wars books that are now no longer canon. Read one of those.
Yeah. Crate dragons and where to find them. It was written by a transphobe named J.K.
I don't know how we got into the J.K. Rowling turf wars.
Oh boy. Anyway,
There's crate dragon fan fiction. You know it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know
I'm
it.
sure
there
there
is.
is.
Yeah. There's at least one other kin out there in the world who is a crate dragon.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to meet them.
I mean,
And I'm going to ask them about their acid glands.
yeah, I think
you asked them. They're like, that was totally fake, man. I would have dissolved that man.
But I have to take a PPI for it, so
exactly.
because it's real.
Okay. Next thing that
Where
I
were
wanted
we
to
now?
bring up is this clip here.
If you want my help finding the Jedi, you will help me take this ship.
You're changing the terms of the deal.
This is the way.
Okay. So the two things that I wanted to say about that were, one, when he said, you're changing the terms of the deal, it was a missed opportunity for her to say and pray that I don't
change it
alter.
any further.
Exactly. That would
I would have been upset if they had went there. I would have been like, this is
would
not
have
a
been
Marvel. This
great.
is not Guardians of the Galaxy. You're not allowed to do that.
And I was just going to say, generally, it seems like they're setting her up to be some sort of like, unprincipled terrorist leader. She's, I don't know, the Osama bin Laden of Mandalore. She'll change deals and break promises and whatever, as long as she sort of gets what she wants. So that'll be interesting. And then the last thing was, later on, after they seal the deal, no, after they complete the mission,
Yep.
he gets the information that he's looking for. She tells him, look for Ahsoka Tano on Corvus. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't know what the heck that is. But anyway, what are the chances she gave him correct information? I just think that if I'm Ahsoka Tano and Bo Katan is, going about doing her business and she just sends somebody directly to me who she met last week, I would be real pissed off. Like, they have to have some sort of system set up where if anybody's ever looking for me, tell them to go to this place, and then I'll know you're who sent them, and I'll be able to check them out and see if they're legit or not.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Din is a Mandalorian, though, and I think that she at least trusts that much about sending him to Ahsoka. Also, Ahsoka could wipe the floor with him. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. But again,
I don't know. Maybe she got fat and lazy. Right?
I mean, even lazy. She's
sitting
still
around. She's watching space soap operas, drinking blue milk on her couch.
right. But I mean, this is the Star Wars problem, right? Is that the coolest Mandalorian with awesome armor it has zero chance against Ahsoka Tano. Even if Ahsoka has her eyes closed and no saber, he has absolutely no chance. And
He's going to kill her by the end of the season.
right. And I think this is.
You saw those shots bounce off that beskar armor.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Beskar.
I tell you, you put my boy Mando up against some tentacle-headed Twi'lek. Any day he's coming out on top.
For the record, Beskar is also immune to lightsabers. So I mean, we'll see how.
Of course it is.
We'll see
Yeah.
We'll see how that scene goes. But I mean, you know what it's not immune to? Force. Just force crush, and then it's kind of game over.
I don't know. I remember the pre-Vizsla fight against Obi-Wan. He did pretty well with the dark saber.
No, that's fair.
Mando doesn't have any any sort of lightsaber at all, and nor does he have any training. So maybe it wouldn't go so well for him. But
I mean, he was trained to fight Jedi,
Yeah,
so
Jedi.
I mean that's part of the like this. You know, if everyone's trained to duel each other, then like of course they're okay at dueling. But if you're not, there's you again show up to a lightsaber fight with no dueling knowledge. We have a couple of scenes of how that goes for people. It goes with like hands and heads cut off.
yeah, you're gonna lose some limbs.
Yep.
I don't know. What's his face did pretty good in The Force Awakens.
Oh, good.
He held his own for like.
Yeah,
I just want to call him John Boyega. I don't know Finn. That's the
F1.
It's good when the actor's more famous than the character. I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing. But yeah. He held his own, right? He was slicing and dicing until he got his back cut open.
But he also wasn't fighting somebody that's trained. I think this is going to become a sort of a problem. It's one of those like if you're, I don't know. This is like again, this is going to become a Star Wars nerd discussion. Like how many years of training before you become able to duel at like Yoda's level or at Dooku's level or at Palpatine's level? Like they're just sort of different tiers. Like Mace Windu like has so much force power like without his saber that he could just crush people to death over and over and over, and they would have no chance of dueling him. And in fact, he does. Like that's one of the reasons why many of the characters are not in the series is because Mace Windu dueled them and just crushed them. Like he just looked at them and then squished them.
Can we just say that the sequels are not canon? Can we just say that? Can that be a thing now?
But I mean, the unbelievable power level of the Jedi is something the Mandalorian is going to have to reckon with very soon, and that is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't blame the Emperor. I mean, if they're that powered up, you can see why like a democracy would want to put an end to them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Or they don't belong, and they don't belong. Like they're too dangerous. They're a cult of superpowered people.
Yeah, again,
That's my prediction for Moff Gideon. They unbalance the universe, and so you gotta get rid of them. The only way to get law and order is get rid of the Jedi.
I mostly agree with that, but I also think that he secretly wants to be a Jedi, and he's going to try and squeeze the child into like juice and drink it.
I mean, the child deserves it at this point. He's committed genocide.
There you go.
A couple of times.
I think I signed a petition to cancel him.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. You just get on there and you wear like a Soviet logo T-shirt. You get really angry, and then you just sign a petition. They cancel Baby Yoda.
All right, he's gone now, off the show.
Yeah, genocide.
Yeah. Now they got a
They're
new
gonna
baby.
regret that forever. They're gonna regret that egg eating gag.
Somebody's gonna get fired for that.
Yeah. There's an intern who's like, John Favreau's fired him last week. I thought it would be funny. It's so cute. Look at him eat the eggs.
All my friends thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Your friends are fired too. They don't even work here. Fired.
We're your friends, 18-year-old boys.
Yeah. All right. So those are my points. I mean, really, it was just odd, interesting things. Nothing really to nitpick. It was a fantastic episode. Jesse, why don't you go next?
I don't like the way they parted her hair. It looks stupid. I don't know. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
At this point, it's, you really got to dig deep to find stuff. I was reaching to find things to talk about. I liked everything about it. I liked the seaside town. I liked the location on Trask. I thought Trask was a cool planet. I liked that we saw, and there's not a lot of this anywhere else, I think, in the films anywhere where you get like sort of like maritime settings. And I liked that. I liked sort of the sea town. I didn't, and I liked I liked that Baby Yoda got taught a valuable lesson by being eaten himself, even if it was short lived. I liked the heist with the Imperial ship. I liked that the guy that played Bosch was the Imperial captain. And I don't know where this is, but I really did like the sort of like little bit of information that we got about how fanatical the remnant Imperials have become, right? Because Moff Gideon asks the captain, the unnamed captain, they never name him, I don't think. to, you know, like basically like it's clear that there's, you know, that the leadership of the Empire, even down to like officers, have some pretty clear instructions about, you know, what to do if someone's going to maybe capture, you know, some of your assets or anything. And it's fanaticism. And I kind of, maybe, you know, here's a prediction. I think maybe we're seeing bits of that fanaticism, and I wonder if by the end of this entire series, if we'll get introduced to the First Order, right? And if this is sort of like, I don't know, like in canon when the First Order is supposed to have arisen, but you certainly see some of that fanaticism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's also important to like contrast the different fanaticisms, the Jedi, the Mandalorians, and like the Empire. Like they're all different fanaticisms, and you can sort of see where the different organizations end up. And I do think that you're right that this is a clear attempt at showing what zealotry, like where it leads. And it's not particular. It's not like it's positive. It's just, or negative. It's just that we get people that are willing to, again, like literally suicide bomb their ships. Like it's just an interesting kind of fanaticism as opposed to the actual terrorists, as opposed to the cult that Din is part of. Like they're all different sort of levels of zealotry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like it's clear that you can still have zealots and still make like judgments about them, right? Like, you know, like there's no there's no like two sides relativism, right? Like, you know, we can agree that the Jedis might be fanatics, but they're good fanatics, right? And they, you know, they want justice and peace and for the most part.
I would say,
okay, Donald Trump, calm down.
No. I'm saying that there is like a sort of a somewhat common interpretation of the sort of original, you know, 6, that the entire point was that the Jedi are a problem for the universe because they are fanatical about their, you know, refusal to embrace both sides of the Force, their detachment and refusal to have connections, and that is sort of what perverts the chosen one prophecy, and what inevitably leads to, you know, Anakin becoming Vader, right? Like he develops connections. He's not able to deal with them because he's trained as a Jedi whose only solution for, you know, emotional connections is to don't have any. Right. And then when faced with a difficult situation, he has no context or, you know, a capability to deal with. So he loses his crap and becomes, you know, Darth Vader. So I do think that there's, like, they are all sort of extremists, and the Jedi are good, but, you know, they're sort of also defining what gets to be good for themselves, and nobody else gets to make that determination. Like, you can't be one of us if you love anybody. You got friends? No friends. Those are attachments. Okay.
I think, but they don't. But I mean, like, aside from hunting down Sith, it's not like they're also policing Force users in general, right?
No,
like,
they are.
Like, hey, but like they're not like, they wouldn't throw Anakin in prison. They're like, hey, you can come with us if you want, but here's the rules.
Oh no.
They're not gonna like
they do round up all Force users, and if they don't join the Jedi, they kill them. That's canon?
Yeah,
it's completely canon. Like they round up children. Like that's like if your child chooses not to go with them, then they.
Is this a Clone Wars plot line?
It's talked about a couple of times, but the idea is that there is they do absolutely police the Force users in the galaxy, and they not only look out for them, they actively take them from people's families, whether they want to or not.
Well, and they would kind of have to, right?
Kill them?
Like think about it. What would they have done with Anakin if he hadn't gone with them? It's already a problem that he's too old and he has too many connections and he shouldn't be allowed in the academy. But then do they just leave him to live his life so the Sith can find him, right?
Yeah, it's too dangerous. You have to eliminate him. So like you have one of two options, right? You either recruit them or you accidents befall them.
So it's not like this is not Dr. X's school for the gifted. Where it's
No,
like,
it's not.
Like it or leave it. But
Right, you failed the
then
entrance
take it
exam.
back. You know what? They're very fine people on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, if you fail the entrance
They were
exam,
really unfair people on both sides, to be honest, Alex.
stuff
There's
lands on your
terrible
head.
people. Terrible.
But like Ahsoka, it leaves the Jedi because of their uncompromising sort of belief that they're always right, and I think that's an important part of one of the things that Star Wars is trying to talk about. And it is maybe a little heavy-handed with the like Catholic, you can't love people, kind of discussion. But I think we can sort of extrapolate that into other things like that any kinds of these like rigid lifestyles are going to create problems. And it's sort of the classic when you have two extremely rigid belief systems, they collide against each other, you get this entire conflict, which again is tragic. Like billions of people, trillions of people are dying in this conflict.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was part of the. Again, I should watch the Clone Wars. Pause this. Just pause the whole podcast. I'm gonna watch all 7 seasons, and I'll throw in Rebels for good measure, but not the new one about the people who race like X-wings on that like water planet. I'm not watching Resistance. It looks like a stupid show. Looks like a show that they just made so they could make like a racing video game.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think we're all right. And you guys can go watch DuckTales while I do that.
Yeah. For the other podcast.
Okay, that's interesting. I wish I had have done my Ice-T impression instead of Trump there. I think it was better for like, so wait, you're telling me they kill children and steal them from their families? Man, you can keep your Jedi Order.
Right. The Jedi are certainly not benevolent, and I don't think that they are portrayed that way even in the original series. They're portrayed as like wizards that maybe have too much power.
Yeah,
they're like samurai wizards in the original series.
Samurai wizards,
they're like these lone samurai wizards who live alone. I mean, it's based on samurai films, right? I mean, like, and they, they're kind of like, when called upon, they rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that the real problem is when you get them running governments and stuff, and it's hard. Like in the movies and in Clone Wars where they talk about, it's like, oh, like, do you guys think that we're interfering too much in governments? Like, shouldn't like we let them govern? And then there's Jedi that are like, yes, we are interfering too much. Like, that's the Star Trek kind of discussion. Mm-hmm. Like, we are interfering too much versus we need to interfere more.
This is why the prequels ruined so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, like just too much thinking, too much, and it just ruins so many things. Like, like there's pretty concise statements in, like A New Hope that this was a great time for everyone and the Jedi were like guardians of this. And it never said they were like ascetic monks who couldn't have a life. Mm-hmm. It just said they were knights. They were basically knights, and it set them up as like these, quasi samurai wizards. And that's how they were described, as knights, right? Who could still have, you didn't think they couldn't have a life.
Yeah, but I mean, like, true knights as well as true samurai can't have a life. Like, you get assigned a family and you're not allowed to have your own family. And you I mean, I agree with you. I guess when I was a kid, I never thought about like whether or not the Jedi could have sex. But I mean, I think it seems to be an important thing to talk about, especially now that like we're so far down the road, and like you said, a lot of this has been.
That's why no one's reading your fan fiction,
right? A lot of it. I mean, you need more fade to blacks for that. But I think a lot of this has been extrapolated to the point where I think it stops being fill in the blanks with your imagination and starts just being very, very, very clear. And I agree with you. I think it was better when it was left up to your imagination. Like, oh, I wonder if they're allowed to have, families. It's like, well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But now,
because
who knows?
Now you still have an imagination.
Exactly.
But the areas where you can fill in don't lead you to positive conclusions about their existence. That's the problem.
I think
what you're
exactly
left
right.
with.
Yeah, I think I think it's what Bert was saying about like leaving Anakin. Like, logically, you can't kill a child, but like I mean,
But,
maybe.
What if that child is gonna, grow up, or if he doesn't come with you, then the Sith might get him, and then what's gonna happen?
It's true. Next
How
pod
many
race.
will die?
Next
you
pod
refuse
race
to kill this young child.
Right. I think the next pod race he would have an unfortunate accident, I guess is what I'm suggesting.
And I can't remember in I know this is not canon anymore, but in KOTOR, right? Were like the Sith Empire, was it like, were they bad? Were they like Klingons who were just like, yes, like I can't remember anything because you go to the Sith planet in Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Korriban?
Yeah, Korriban.
Yeah, Korriban. Yeah. And I just kind of wonder, like, what, like, did they justify, like, were they like an inherently evil society or just like an emotional one?
Yeah.
I think they were evil because you remember how when you're in the Sith temple, you go to reenact or hear the stories of different, famous Sith throughout the ages, and they always get murdered by their apprentice.
Right.
It
was a
every
common
single
theme.
time, and so they're almost too evil. Like they have the Klingon problem where you're like, if somebody loved war this much, would they ever make it to space? With the Sith,
Right.
you're like, if they all kill their master, then, are there ever going to be enough of them to be a real force in the galaxy? Like, they're all just murdering each other all the time.
Yeah, the Mandalorians have this similar problem, which is their creed is like only the strongest can lead. And it's like, well, maybe you don't want the person with the most martial prowess to lead. Like maybe you need a bureaucrat that might be a skinny 5-foot tall guy with no beskar. Maybe you want him doing policy decisions, like a lawyer in the background. Like maybe you want a lawyer doing it. Maybe you don't want
Get a technocrat, yeah.
Exactly. You don't want
Maybe that's why you had a purge though, and you live in like a diaspora now. Like, because they're like, like maybe we should have let someone else lead. Shut up.
Right. And again, like that discussion is actually, I think, part of the Mandalorian, like, science fiction discussion is like, you can't just have the strongest person lead. The Klingons, like this has been done many times, right? And it just doesn't work. You can't just have the single, like the one-on-one combat person leading your society. It's just not the best way.
And I remember like thinking, the Mandalorians are hypocrites because they, like, you remember the scene when Darth Maul, this is what I'm remembering, that Darth Maul cuts off Pre-Vizsla's head.
Yeah.
Right. And Vizsla is like, only the strong. But so he's like, he beat me, so he's got to be the leader while he's having his head cut off.
Yeah, with the Darksaber. It was a very famous scene. I remember it well.
And so if that is what the belief is supposed to be, that if this man defeated me, your previous leader, then he has the right to cut my head off and lead all of you. So follow his lead. Then the idea that Bo Katan would rise up against Darth Maul should have been anathema to all of the Mandalorians. They should have been like, what are you talking about? And then when the Empire came in to purge them, they should have been like, well, these Empire guys are really beating the crap out of us. They should lead. They're the strongest.
I think you're right, Bert. And obviously, the way that it should work, I don't want to like write science fiction, but just make you second in charge. Like you lose a duel, okay, you're second place now. I don't cut your head off.
Yeah.
Like it really eliminates all of your very strong people very quickly if you just decapitate them in a court ceremony.
Yeah. Like Highlander should not be your system of governance. Like,
I agree. I think that we can agree that Highlander is not a good system of government.
Yeah.
I actually put a point in because I'm like, you guys didn't talk about him being in a cult, but that's because I didn't know what Death Watch was. So now I understand all of your comments about Death Watch. I thought when I saw Death Watch, I was like, what does that mean? Who's Death Watch? And isn't there like a comic book character named Death Watch?
Probably.
There's a comic book character named literally every combination of two words.
You put
I
death
just
in
remember
it.
like, I gotta look it up now, but I just remember thinking like, what is Bert talking about? That's like stupid. That sounds like a dumb thing. Oh no, I think it's is it from, maybe it's something from Warhammer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing outside of Star Wars, and that was my point of reference. So there's my comments done.
Okay. All right.
Let's go to Alex.
Alex, yeah.
Alex is me. Okay, so now that we have basically covered all of my points in our previous discussions, I think the first thing I wanted to mention, I guess, offhandedly, is dank farrik, which Dank Farrik. I'm just so happy that we have Dank Farrik now. Like, I'm glad that the writers are like, you know what? We need another catchphrase, swear word that we can say. And I really, really, really hope that we get an explanation of what Dank Farrik means. But now we have prediction time. So, Bert, what is your prediction on what Dank Farrik is? Is it a place, a person?
It's a person for sure.
Right. So it's like you're cursing, like, so he's like a really bad guy or like a really.
Yeah, he's like the worst. He's the devil.
Okay.
He's like Darth Maul's abusive dad. He's Dank Farrik. He was the worst. And everybody knew him and everybody hated him. And we all cheered when he died. So now whenever you need to curse somebody, you say Dank Farrik. Yeah, that's my prediction.
All right, Jesse, what is your prediction for Dank Farrik?
Well, I mean, you know, it's maybe it's a positive thing. I want to say it's a different thing. It's positive because like in the popular vernacular now,
dank.
Who describes something as dank?
I know. That's what really threw me off. It's because it's
right.
dank.
It's a guy and he's excellent Farrik. That's basically, and they're like, that's Dank Farrik.
So so Farrik is like, Farrik is like a really cool person. So he's dank. He's not ill like when we were kids.
Oh man, this guy is Dank Farrik. Look at that beskar.
It's true. She does also say Dank Farrik, which is, I think, very funny.
Yeah. I think she says it like right at this point.
Yeah, she does. She's like,
I think she kind of does say it like damn.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, I think it's very clearly a curse word.
Yeah.
Dank Farrik.
Yeah. Like, I'm very much hope that, I mean, I guess the science fiction person in me wants them to not explain it so that we can, sit here and fill in the blanks ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I do think that it was a funny little thing that they are doing, and I hope that they continue to do it.
Yeah.
Is it in the Clone Wars?
Or is it just I think it's only been Mando, because he said it once before. I think he said it in the first season once.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a callback to something that I didn't know about.
No.
It's not. Dank Farrik. I'm gonna start using it. Dank Farrik.
Dank Farrik.
Dank
Farrik.
Exactly.
It's like Dag Nabbit,
Yeah, I think it is.
Dag Nabbit.
Well, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, of course, something we already talked about, is Bo Katan. Like, I am so happy that Bo is here. Like, Bo Katan is a fan favorite. The name of the episode makes more sense now. She's clearly the heiress, or Harris. No, I think we'll go with heiress. She's clearly the heiress. And she's one of the, I think, fairly few people that are in contention to be Mandalore. And so I think introducing her is interesting. I know we've talked a little bit about her backstory, but just for like a super quick breakdown of her past. She led a couple of coups. She at one point sided with Darth Maul and led a coup against her sister because she thought that her planet was becoming too peaceful and she wanted to return them to the sort of martial, more traditional ways. And she's fought in multiple coups. She was last we sort of left off, she was in charge of the planet before the purge, and clearly they lost during the purge. And obviously Moff Gideon got his hands on the Darksaber from her. And so she is no longer in contention for being, well, she's still in contention, but she's no longer Mandalore, because they sort of have implied now that you need the Darksaber to be Mandalore, which is sort of an interesting problem. And I think is now created a tension between Din and Bo Katan, where we now have two really cool Mandalorians that I think we're both, we're rooting for both of them to sort of be the best of the Mandalorians. And so I think that's going to create some tension down the line on who we're really rooting for. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like she's a terrorist. I think it's pretty easy to root for the guy who's not a terrorist.
Right. I mean, she absolutely is a terrorist, but this is I mean, we could do an hour discussion on the terrorism, freedom fighting discussion, because like if you're on the side of Darth Maul, it does sound like you're probably in the wrong.
Yeah.
But the second time or third coup that she started, so
she started getting better at them.
She did. Well, I mean, she won the couple of times, but then they lost, and then they had to get the Jedi to come in and save them. I mean, it is complicated, but yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. She's a fan favorite character for a show called The Mandalorian. She's one of the most famous Mandalorians that's still alive. So I'm really glad to see her here.
Okay. Quickly, last thing. One shot prediction for next episode: Ahsoka Tano or no Ahsoka Tano?
I mean, they have to. They have to. They're like they said Ahsoka.
Yeah. Jesse?
Prediction: we don't see Ahsoka Tano next episode because Mando gets hijacked by Boba Fett.
Ooh, I like that.
That is an interesting prediction.
I like that. I'm going to say we don't see Ahsoka Tano because the Mando gets hijacked by dank farrik.
And we finally learned
He invoked his name one too many times.
It's a Candyman situation.
In the mirror.
Yeah.
You say it in the mirror and he just walks right out. It's the Candyman.
Michael Keaton's playing him.
Beetlegeist situation.
Yeah.
I wish they do promos. I would love if they just do a promo of the next episode. Oh, what's the episode description?
Oh, we have the name probably by now.
Oh, it's called dank farrik.
Chapter 12, right?
Return of dank farrik. It's not. Oh my god. So
Why?
on Wikipedia, it does not have the name of the episode, but it is written by Jon Favreau and directed by Carl Weathers.
Oh
yeah.
Stew time.
Baby, you got yourself a stew.
The
though.
stew prediction is going to happen.
You got the dankest farrik.
Wow. And there's no description of it.
No, not yet.
Has
TBA.
Carl Weathers ever directed anything?
I'm sure he
I
has.
have no idea.
Kind of feel like that might not be an Ahsoka Tano or Boba Fett episode.
I mean, now that you've said that, I think you're right. But I mean, I've already doubled down on it's going to definitely be Ahsoka.
I'd love to be proven wrong. Imagine if it's just amazing. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Carl Weathers directed that episode.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 4, synopsis. Here we go.
Oh.
Oh, you're not going to like it. Oh, come on, son. Season 2, episode 4 preview says the Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission. We're not seeing either of them. It's going to be Weathers himself and what's her face. And,
Ava Braun.
So now it's going to be like, hey guys, guess what? I found out there's a planet I have to go to, but I'm getting the gang back together again.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do the gang is back together.
Djarin, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Chime in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
All right,
that's the episode. That's now I'm disappointed. I wish I hadn't read that.
I'm sure it'll be
I was
fantastic.
hoping like she's like, hey, she's on this planet. Go straight there.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. And he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? Instead of going straight to the place where this Jedi is, where I can get rid of the child, like I'm supposed to be quested to have done, I'm gonna go visit my friends first, put them together.
I haven't seen my friends in a while. Wonder what they're up to. Probably
Yeah.
eating some cheese.
I do everything alone, but this one thing, this simple task of flying in one direction to one planet, it requires allies. Why? Because we got to stretch out the season. Stretch it out. Why wouldn't you just have Bo Katan say, Bo Katan always sounds like a resort or something to me. Bo Katan.
Boca
Could be
Raton.
Bo Katan. I think, yeah, it sounds like Boca Raton. That's what it sounds like. I'm calling her Boca Raton from now on. Anyway, they have a spinoff after this. She's like she owns like a small beachside resort.
She runs a
Right?
resort.
She's got, I know the name of who's the group? Is it Max Rebo? Oh, he's dead though. He blew up on the blue elephant from Jabba's palace. His name is Max Rebo, right? And the singer with the lips is Cy Snoodles. Anyway, I don't like that they're going to waste an episode.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially considering
the
the season's only like 8 episodes long. You can't waste one.
Bo-Katan could have just said, oh, go ask this person. They know where you can find Ahsoka Tano. And that way you can stretch it out another episode if you don't want to cut straight to finding the Jedi.
All right, so we'll wrap it there. Thank you for watching El Mandolero. If you want to send us an email, you can find us at 83, that's the number 8, the number 3, infinitycast@gmail.com. Find our Anchor page and subscribe to our podcast or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/ S2E3 Infinity. And you can find our YouTube channel there as well. So like and subscribe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Welcome to El Mandalero. This is our Star Trek: The Mandalorian podcast. I'm Bert.
Star Trek: The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was very much a Star Trek.
Wait a second. Yeah,
Yep.
let me do that again.
All right,
include this
first
in the
take.
podcast,
First
please.
take.